Hey everyone, let's tackle two more examples of sketching parametric curves. In both cases, we're going to eliminate the parameter, and we're going to make sure to sketch the curve using arrows to indicate the direction in which we're graphing it. Remember that eliminating the parameter means that we solve for the parameter t for one of the variables, either x or y, and then plug it into the other one. So we always like to try to do it for x, but sometimes that's not feasible. Let's see what happens if we try it here. We could say since x equals 1 minus t squared, we have, I guess that's t squared equals 1 minus x, and that implies that t equals plus or minus the square root of 1 minus x, right? Be careful about that. We need the plus or minus, okay? So y equals either square root of 1 minus x minus 2, or y equals negative square root of 1 minus x minus 2. So that's a little confusing. It's possible, but it's just a little bit different, right? We actually need to graph both of those. The other way to do it is to write x as a function of y, right? So I'll say, alternatively, since y equals t minus 2, we have t equals y plus 2, right? So we have that x equals 1 minus the quantity y plus 2 squared, right? And if we wanted to do this out, right, because we are sketching the curve, right, this we can tell is a sideways parabola, right? Can do this out. 1 minus y squared minus 4y minus 4 equals, let's see what we have here. This we're going to cancel with that. We have negative y squared, negative 4y, negative 3. Does that work out nicely? Can that factor? I want to say we can do this. Right, I think that works, right? They multiply by positive 3. Note the negative sign in front right there, right? Right, so we know that negative 1 and 3 are zeros. Right, now if we sketch this curve, right, well, let's see. We know that y equals negative 1 and y equals negative 3 are going to be the zeros. We also know that the parabola is flipped downward, which means to the left. So it's going to look something like this. Okay? So I guess that means the vertex will be at negative 2, right? It's going to have to. And I suppose if we, right, if we plugged in y equals negative 2, we do get x equals 1. So I guess we've got this point. So in theory, our parabola looks like this. Right? That's what it's going to look like. But in practice, we need to make sure that we are abiding by this restricted domain of the parameter, right? This restricted, so t is between negative 2 and 2. So let's see what we have here. Let's set up a little chart over here. So when t equals negative 2, let's see what we get here. X is going to equal 1 minus negative t squared. It looks like it's going to equal negative 3. Y, if that matters, which it does, right? It equals negative 4. When t equals negative 1, we're getting 0 for x and negative 3 for y. When t equals 0, we have 1 here, 2. For 1, we again get 0, right? And this should be a reflection, right? So we should get negative, one second, when t equals 1, right, we get negative 1 here. And then when t equals positive 2, right, hold on a sec, y equals, yeah, right, sorry, y equals negative 1. And then when t equals positive 2, y is 0, and x is, again, negative, what was it? -3. Right? Yeah. So again, note the symmetry right here, right? Okay. So really, it looks like we're between y equals -4, so maybe that's right over here, and y equals 0, which is right here. So really, I guess this is the only part of the graph that actually shows up. And to use arrows, right, let's see. Y starts low and then goes high. Okay, and it stops right there. So really, the graph is just this. Okay. Now next up, here we have our old friend, x equals cosine, y equals sine. Now we know that this is a circle, but here I say sketch it by eliminating the parameter. Well, we know cosine squared of t plus sine squared of t equals 1. So x squared plus y squared equals 1, which we know is the unit circle. Right, and again, that's our unit circle. And as before, it starts here and goes this way, right? And if I don't give, actually, I shouldn't even say that. If I don't give any indicators for the domain, it's not clear where it starts, right? It just sort of, it's just always going around and around and around. But it is going counterclockwise, okay?